And joining us for this week's Annapolis Face-Off, Delegate Heather Mizeur, a Democrat from Montgomery County, and Delegate Neil Parrott, a Republican from Washington County. Delegates, thanks to both of you for being with us.
Thanks so much. It's great to be here.
Let's start, Delegate Mizeur, your reaction to the Senate committee vote.
It's really, really good news. Not unexpected. We have thought for a while that history's on our side on this one, and we're looking forward to having a similar successful vote in the House.
Delegate Parrott, how did you see the committee vote on same-sex marriage in the Senate?
Well, Jeff, just like Heather said, it wasn't unexpected, but what we have here are liberal legislators who are really out of touch with the rest of Marylanders who would not want to have same-sex marriage introduced in this state, and they're going to try and push as far as they can to get it passed all the way. And if that is to happen, the citizens of Maryland will have the opportunity, if we can get enough signatures, to get it onto the ballot in the year 2012.
So that's sort of jumping ahead a little bit, but assuming it does get through the Senate, and I guess there's less suspense in the House, what would happen? How organized an effort would there be?
Well, it's quite an organized effort. We are uniting Catholics, different Christian faiths, of course Muslims, the Jewish faith community, and people with common sense who don't want to see our children taught that marriage between a man and a man or a woman and a woman, because a lot of people don't agree with that for their kids. So we need to have freedom and protect that for our parents, so that's not taught in our schools. And so we're going to have a lot of support, and we don't have much time, so we're going to need help to get those petitions signed so we can get it on the ballot and let the people of Maryland choose.
Delegate Mizeur, what does the polling tell you about what would happen at referendum?
First, I'd actually like to counter on the notion about what the definition of marriage is. From the beginning of time, marriage is about two people who love each other, who pledge to spend their whole lives with each other. That's what my marriage is to my spouse, Deborah. That's what thousands of gay and lesbian families commit to each and every day. What we don't have right now are the protections that protect our families, and that's why this legislation is so crucial. Our marriages are like everyone else's. We get together to share our joys, divide up our responsibilities, and shoulder each other's pain. And it's really important in the free state that we have those same protections as every other family. And public opinion has shown that a majority of Marylanders do support marriage equality, and so we have no concern whatsoever that we would be able to win on a ballot referendum as well. It's the same reason why it's considered a fait accompli here in Maryland that this legislation is going to pass in the General Assembly.
Is the majority in those polls talking about civil unions or full-fledged marriage?
Full-fledged marriage.
Delegate Parrott, what do you think?
Well, there was a poll that was done that Heather's referring to. It showed 51%. The margin of error was 3.5%. And what we find from polls nationwide, when these are taken, they're underpolled. So like in California, they thought they had that ballot measure completely passed, and it failed miserably in California, and it would fail miserably here too, because people understand that parents have the right to teach their children what they think about marriage. In Massachusetts, for instance, we're seeing schools where parents are not allowed to opt out their children, but are forced to stay in school when they teach that Heather has two mommies or different things. And actually, some parents have gone to jail. We need to protect the citizens of Maryland and parents who want to be able to teach their children the traditional definition of marriage. I would disagree with Heather. From the beginning of time, marriage has always been a man and a woman for life, and that's it for the definition, except for unless you want to say for people who love more than one wife. That's been allowed in the past, and those I'm sure loved each other too, but that's not what we're talking here.
I promise, Jeff, I only am asking for one marriage.
At this time.
Well, apparently there are at least a few people in the legislature who have not made up their minds yet. What would either of you say to them that they haven't heard before that might change their mind?
Well, I guess for me it would just be that really we need to consider the parents here, and we need to look to other states where this legislation has been passed, mostly by the courts, like in Massachusetts, where they didn't have a voice. Really, if we're going to go this direction at all, we should give it to the citizens of Maryland to let them choose what they'd like to see on this issue. And we need to make sure we protect those parents' rights and protect children. You know, as they grow up, there's a lot of sexual confusion, and we need to teach them that sex really is designed for a man and a woman. And that's what the celebration of marriage is, and that's what the state recognizes as marriage.
Delegate Mizeur, how would you rebut that, or how would you sway an undecided legislator?
I believe all of us come here to this institution to make a difference in our communities, to stand up and fight for justice, equality, fairness, to protect people, to help them in tough times. we shouldn't say no to making sure that people can care for their loved one in the hospital, that they are protected in inheritance rights when they die, that they're able to make joint family decisions together. These are important life and death protections and obligations that people who come together and say they want to spend the rest of their life together are pledging to do. It's a civil marriage license that gets granted at the courthouse. There's no reason why that same piece of paper shouldn't come to loving same-sex couples as well.
All right, we have to leave it there. Delegates Mizeur and Parrott, thank you for being with us.
Thank you so much for having us.